Right?
You were born in Memphis.
South Memphis.
Not going to ask you when, but 27 years ago.
Well, I don't mind sharing. I'm 39 years old. I was born in 1986. I'm a December baby. I was born right not too far after Jesus.
No,
I was born on December 29th, 1986.
tell me about your parents.
I mean, the best parents any kid can ask for, man. My father, he was pastor as a pastor at my church when I was coming up. My mom was the first lady, and my parents were absolutely amazing. They really, really, they raised me well, but they also gave me like a lot of support and all of the things that I wanted to do. At one point, I said I wanted to be a painter. At another point, I said I wanted to be a pilot. When I graduated from high school, I said I wanted to be a pilot because, back in the day, you used to have to go to the guidance counselor and declare like what you want to do so they can steer you in the right direction and everything. So I said I want to be a pilot and everything like that. But because when you look at the musicians' median income, they can make anywhere from like $3,000, $5,000 a year up to like 1 point some million.
Yeah.
So the range was so big, and the guidance counselor at the time was like, well, you never know and everything. So I was like, oh, let me just pick something. I like airplanes, so let me.
So you were going to be a pilot.
I was studying to be a pilot at one point, but shout out to all of the pilots out there. I know quite a few of them. That's hard. Those classes were hard. Those classes were difficult. But my parents supported me all the way. My mom took me to so many different concerts I had to play at, jamborees, band meetings, and all of this stuff. My dad was very supportive. Bought me my first drum set when I was little, and supported me, put me around the right people. And the words that they have taught me, that they told me when I was little, it still rings true to this day. My mom, she used to introduce me as the world's greatest drummer.
Wow.
This is my son, the world's greatest drummer. I mean, she didn't know what she was doing at the time, but she was putting those little bitty deposits in my life. And I mean, I speak life into my children today because my mom spoke life into me. Words are everything. You know what I'm saying?
So when you said your mom, since you're little, she's introducing you as a drummer, I'm assuming you started playing at what age?
So I started playing when I was 3. And I was not very good. My daddy would say like, son, you was killing the service. You was dragging. I mean, but he never told me to stop.
Yeah.
They suffered. This is Great Against 70 Baptist Church in Castalia here in Memphis. But they gave me all of the tools that I needed. They helped me. They took their time with me. You know what I'm saying? They were patient and waited till I was able to play. Yeah.
You started playing when you were 3. Did you start playing at church?
Started playing at church. Yes. Started playing at church. A lot of those hymns, old school songs, and I guess the hardest artist at the end at that time was John P. Key, like the early '90s. Yeah. So I'm listening to like Liddell Abrams, and it morphed into Calvin Rogers. Some of the greats, and then people like Fred Hammond with Marvin McQuitty and Kirk Franklin, like that. Like this is like the early '90s when I'm coming to myself. Like when I'm understanding what's happening, when I'm really understanding. So this is like 90, 91, 92, 93.
They say if you can play jazz, you can play everything. I don't think so. I think if you can play gospel, you can play everything. In the culture, the African American church, I'm assuming so, like most of the friends that I know that are that are unbelievable musicians, they started playing at church. How does that work?
I think culturally, by the church music being so infused with so many different styles and cultures and everything, I learned like a calypso beat from a John P. Key song called "Sweeter Than Anything I Know." It's like boom, got, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That, but it's gospel music, but it's a calypso feel. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time what it was. It was like, this is like a really cool youth song. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and when you graduate from that and then you start playing like, 6/8 time and,
Yeah.
3/4 time, like in a waltz and everything, like, it's just, I was blind to the fact that I'm learning so many different styles, because for me as a child, 8, 9 years old, all of it is gospel music to me. It's not.
This is church music.
Yeah, this is church music. I didn't know it was inspired by Colombia, inspired by Afro-Cuban.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So
And
being blind to it, yeah.
And when you're growing up in this, they just how did you practice? You just went to the church and then you practiced there?
I was a sponge. My grandmother, I mean, I'm so glad you just brought this up. My grandmother was the choir president, all right? So she had a key to the church. The church wasn't very big. She had a key to the church, so she was also like a seamstress. She would make draperies and all that stuff. Like, and her draperies are like around a lot of prominent churches. She made them for like New Salem, Cornelia, like a lot of people. Like, she was a professional at this, right? So when she would have to go shop at Hancock Fabrics or whatever like that, she would leave me at the church, lock the door, lock me in, because nobody could get in and I couldn't get out.
No phone, no TV, no nothing.
The only phone we had was the church phone at, the landline, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if she had a cell phone at the time, but she would lock me in the church for hours and I would just practice. Practice. Like, it was no, I'll tell you, to be honest, it was no focus practice like I have now. It wasn't focused. It was
you were just
doodling. I call it doodling.
Soaking it in.
I would listen to a song, put it on a loudspeaker. This was like tapes and CDs back in the day. So I put it in the church system and play to it and try to keep up with the time and everything. That's how I found my timing and everything, doing that.
From there, what was your first gig outside of playing at a church?
To be fair, my first gig outside of playing at church was at school, like the school assemblies. Like when it was like, when you're doing a commencement exercise, or like when you do like the honors program, or, when you get honor roll and stuff like that. They did a program. So I think it used to be 6 weeks, every 6 weeks, right? So I'm playing wood blocks. I'm playing a drum set. I would have to get the drum set from the house and bring it to the school because they did that. So I'm playing along with the school choir. Other things included like jamborees. So jamboree style music was, you take a drum set and you just split it up in between like 4 or 5 guys, right? So one guy will be playing hi-hat and snare. The other guy will be playing toms. The other guy will be playing bass. And y'all making like rhythms like that. So you just take it and just split it up and be roto toms, and the tempo was very fast. Tempo was very fast because majorettes need fast tempo so they can show their stuff, right? So I'm playing all of these things, and sometimes I would actually, in elementary school, create the beat that they dance to, that they jam to. So if I'm over there just jamming, Mrs. Ward, I believe her name was, she would be like, "Chris, what was that you was playing?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I was just kind of feeling like," she was like, "Do it again, speed it up. I'm feeling something." You know what I'm saying? And so I would do that. Then I would teach, some of my counterparts and everything. So just coming up with rhythm, stuff that I heard, maybe from records or maybe something I was just feeling or something like that. So those are my performances outside of church. Yeah.
When was your first paycheck?
First paycheck came.
Wait. What was your first paycheck, and what did you do with the money?
I was a candy nerd, man. Down the street from my church in Great Gethsemane, I think that store still might be there. I used to take my little money. I got paid. I eventually started to get paid $25 a Sunday. Eventually. At first, I did not get paid anything at all. They would have yearly musicians appreciation days, right? Now, those musicians appreciation days was love because I used to go home with like $300,
Oh,
$350,
okay.
and there's like a 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old.
That is a lot of money.
I'm rich.
That's a lot of money today.
You can't tell me that I was rich. So it used to be a whole thing. So, but eventually I started getting paid, and what I would do with the money, I would get some candy.
Just candy.
I was.
That's what you got.
Yeah, I was a candy.
After graduating, you said you were trying to do the pilot thing. How did you land with the music full time? Was that the next stop?
I think music became a destination for me as far as like a occupation.
Mhm.
In high school, in high school, I met a group of guys called New Genesis, and if anybody's a Memphis native, you know these guys. Stanley Randolph was on drums,
Mhm.
Brandon Brown, Kyle Bolden on guitar, William Weston, and Kenneth KT Townsend. Those guys really had a really pivotal point in my life. So I was in high school playing the drums. We were playing Rest His Soul, Richard Smallwood. Praise him with the temple in there, you know. But then when we got to that shuffle, so I'm like, I'm in high school playing that exact shuffle, and those guys, they were coming there to rehearse after me for a different thing, right? So they came in the choir room, and then I was familiar with those guys because if you live in Memphis, you know who the great guys are. You just kind of
Yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with it. So I watched them. They watched me play. They was like, "Oh my goodness, man!" It was like, "Who are your influences?" And then I started talking about the Dave Welkers and the Vinnie Caliutas of the world. They was like, "How do you know this? Like you're in high school and everything." But I had some great friends, like my boy Charles. Like he helped me out. Charles Tucker. Then Charles Streeter was a good friend of mine as well too. He's a great guy. But those people like really poured into me as far as like, hey, listen to this, listen to that. And then once I finally got to New Genesis, they kind of just pulled me under their wing, and I became like their understudy.
No
You know,
way.
every time Stanley had to go out of town, it was like, well, Pat, man, you know the music. How about you just sit in? I used to help them set up their equipment, break it down, you know, help them with everything. You know, if a girl was trying to talk to them, it's like, hey, go get this girl.
Oh, babe.
I was everything, man. But that really changed my life, and it really gave me the outlook. Okay, I think I really can do this. You know, I
Yeah.
really can do this. You know, they started giving me some decent paying gigs and stuff like that. I was just being an understudy.
What was the first big gig that you're like, you felt okay, we're rolling?
All right, so I started playing with a lot of different gospel groups in town.
Okay.
The first one was Billy Rivers and the Angelic Voices of Faith. If you know good choir music, man, like they are one of the best in the world, in my opinion.
Wow.
But definitely like one of the standout groups in the city.
Wow.
And by playing with them, shout out to Billy Rivers, man. Shout out to Gwen. Shout out to everybody, man. Mike Dawson. Shout out to everybody. The fact that I was able to play a song and that song ended up on the radio, like the first song, Never Leave You Alone, you can look it up by Billy Rivers, Angelic Voice of Faith. That's my very first song playing on the radio. And the reason why the song is so special to me is because the first session that I did, it was very, very cold. It was snow on the ground. It was like during the wintertime. I did that with Kevin Davidson and the Angelic Voices of Faith. That was my very first live recording session.
Wow.
And I recorded with Stanley Randolph, and it was so many different guys on stage. Lance, Lucas, Aaron, Spanky, Kyle, KT, everybody. It was so many different amazing musicians on stage. But I got a chance to play with my heroes.
Yeah.
But my dad couldn't make it because he lived so far and the weather was so bad, right? So he couldn't make it. My dad was like, you know, my number one fan at the time. And I really loved to just, you know, show my dad, hey, Dad, this is what I'm doing. You know, my mom was there, my sister was there, of course, but, you know, my dad couldn't make it. I was like, dang, but I still had a good time. That was my first time playing with the click track. First time.
Just click.
No, a loop. A loop is
Yeah, the loop. Yeah. No all the stuff.
Yeah, no Ableton, no cue, nothing like that. That didn't even exist at that point.
Yeah.
Man, so I did that. That was like early 2005, 2006 or something like that. Man, then later that year, my father came to that recording session I did. And, you know, like when he came in, like I guess 18, 19 years old, But I love my dad so much, but I started crying when he came in.
Wow.
And then that was the next song I had to play. When I lit into that song, I was like, I'm finna show my dad, like,
wow.
man, I lit into that song,
That's
man.
so special.
Because it's the moment, man, and I got pictures from it, man. My dad was everything to me. He's my hero. I mean, my mom was the most supportive. My sisters, from Jackie, she used to take me from Dad's church to this other church. And, my sister, and she used to sing with Kevin Davidson and the Boys. She still sings with them sometimes to this day. What she feel like, she still sings sometimes. But she took me when I was little to all of these engagements. She used to just take me. She was like, "All right, Pat, we got to sing here. You want to come with me?" And I would just come with her.
Wow.
And I just sit there on the front row and absorb everything that these people were doing. So I've had a lot of history just sitting and watching. And my sister, Lynn, she probably got the best and the worst of it all from me because we lived in a house together, grew up in a house together. So Lynn heard all of the noise.
Really? Oh.
Lynn and my mom heard all of the noise, and they never once complained. Like, never. They never told me to shut it off. It's too loud. Oh my God, Patrick. They
just
never did that. They never did that.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 sisters. I have Jackie and Lynn, and then it's myself. And I have 2 step siblings, Courtney and Cordell. I always claim them to my brothers and everything. But yeah, that's the family system. And I have a host of God brothers, God sisters, and then God children. Too many to name. I'll be here all day long.
You moved to LA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was that like?
So in 2013, I moved to California again, following up behind my friends, New Genesis. They had moved there in 2006. I wanted to move shortly thereafter, but in 2000 and first of all, in 2003, I had a beautiful baby girl, Demaya Marie. So that kept me from doing a lot of things out of town. I wanted to go, like I said, off to college to TSU. I had full ride. I had all of those things, but I wanted to stay and raise my daughter and be in her life and everything. So I started working at FedEx. I started doing all of those things. And I mean, I'm a workaholic. I'm gonna do my job, but that wasn't my passion. You know what I mean? So I worked my way up there. So we fast forward to 2008 when I was about to leave again. I had another daughter, Peyton Janice. That she's the baby girl. She's actually about to get ready to graduate from Bartlett High School in the next couple of months. Pray for me for that.
Let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So those things kept me grounded here in Memphis.
Okay.
To the point to where I got them to a certain age and stage in life where I feel like, okay, well, let Dad go spread his wings and let me go make some relationships, some resources in the industry where I know they're doing it real big. So let me move past Nashville. Let me go past Atlanta. Let me go past Houston, Dallas, all those places. Let me go straight to where it's happening, LA. I went there, stayed in Stanley's apartment. I moved there January the 3rd. By the January the 7th, I landed a gig with an artist named ZZ Ward. Shout out to ZZ Ward. I love her. She's like a sister to me. Her, Evan, and the kids and their family and mom and dad. I traveled with ZZ Ward for years, about 3-4 years. That was my first tour ever.
And was this like, you talk about Stanley, was this a connection that he knows someone knows? Did you have to go audition?
I can tell this story between me and Stanley so many different times and so many different iterations, right? So when it came down to Kevin Davidson and the Voices, Stanley had the gig. That was his gig. And he was like, well, Pat, I'm moving away. So he handed it down to me.
Wow.
So with Glenn Jones, he's like, yo, Pat, I got to do this other thing. So you know the material, so play this gig. With ZZ Ward, Stanley was playing with her first. With Eric Walls, who's an amazing guitar player. You can look him up. Shadarius Shields, who's also from Memphis. So it was an audition, but it was more so like, man, let me see if you gel well with the unit. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew I could play. Let's just make sure you can play this style. It's like an alternative rock pop kind of thing. And since I am a gospel drummer, inherently, a lot of the gospel drummers can't really flip the switch
Right.
and just become what the music is. So they just wanted to make sure, and it was a test to myself too, because I only had played R&B, I
Yeah.
only played gospel, I've only played a little pop here and there, a little jazz here and
Yeah.
there. I was playing for like wedding bands, so that kind of helped me with a lot of stuff too. But playing this style of music in particular, it was different. But I
Yeah.
got it, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and for them to trust me and stuff like that too. So I was
Man, and
excited about it.
you're so likable, and so I'm sure part of it is they just got to protect the culture of the whole band and such.
Well,
Would you say that plays a part into it?
man, that's probably one of the most important parts, man. It's so many different things I can say about that because there's a lot of musicians who can play, but they're just difficult to get along with. You know what I'm saying? Difficult to be with because
Yeah.
you have to think we didn't have the budget, so the band could have their own bus, the artists have their own bus, and production have their own bus. Like no, everybody was on one bus.
You're
Everybody was on
together
one
the
bus.
whole
And
time.
some of it was sprinter vans, some of it was like regular passenger vans, and then some of it was like the charter bus. You know what I'm saying? But we're all in this thing together. We have to have great hygiene. We have to have
Yeah.
good interpersonal skills, interactions, and stuff like that. Because sometimes there's nothing wrong with the person, but sometimes people are just what I like to call peopled out. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to wake up sometimes and you know I speak to my bass player Shadir Shiz. I'm sure he won't mind me telling this. He was like, man, not today, man. I was like, what's wrong? He was like, there's nothing wrong. He's like, I just
get
don't feel
tired.
like it. I just don't feel it. I was like, cool. You know what I'm saying?
And you're the opposite way. You're like,
and
man, I go talk to him.
I'm so bubbly, man. I be so jolly. I just wake up ready to do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Hey,
even today, I'm like,
no,
top of the morning.
not today. Not today.
Like, not today, man. You know, like, you know, you cool. Just like, you know, just sit down somewhere. But yeah, no, being likable is a really good part of it. I mean, you know, being a great hang, having inside jokes, but it adds to the chemistry on the stage, man. With ZZ Ward, I did all of the TV shows, man. You know, from
Wow.
Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Jay Leno when he was on.
No way.
Yeah, Carson Daly. We did Carson Daly. We did Craig Ferguson. We did all of the late night. We did all the late night. We did daytime. We did The View. We did Queen Latifah show. We did so many different things. So my family got a chance to see the dream personified.
Yeah.
You know, on stage and on TV and stuff like that. I did Coachella with her. Like that.
Wow.
That was crazy. That's like one of the pivotal points in my career. It's like, man, I really, you know, I can handle this type of energy, and I wasn't nervous, I wasn't scared. I was like, yeah, like
You're working, yeah.
let's do this, you know.
Unreal.
Yeah.
You worked with Stevie Wonder.
Yes. So the beautiful thing about that, again, by making relationships with the industry, you just come across a lot of amazing people. So being in the room, just hanging out with the guys, Nate Watts, who's the present day musical director for Stevie Wonder, has been for years.
Wow.
20, 30, 40 years maybe. We connected. We just had a good time. You know, he calls me nephew. I call him uncle.
Wow.
And all of that.
That's cool.
So there was the Songs in the Key of Life tour requires 2 drummers, right? Stanley is always going to be on stage. Stanley is in the team with Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
That is his guy. He don't want to do a show if Stanley's not there. You know. So, but this show requires 2 drummers. So when they were looking for another guy, because the guy who they did have, like Lil Jon Roberts, who's a good friend of mine, he had to do another thing. He had to do a Janet Jackson and all of that stuff. And it was towards the tail end of that tour, right? The tail end, we probably had a few more dates left. So got the call, and I was actually, and this is a funny story because I was teaching at Stax at the time.
Okay.
Stax Music Academy up the street. I had my phone on me because as a musician, as a parent, all that stuff, I had to have my phone on me all the time. So I was teaching. I get a call from Nate Watts. It's like, hey, it's Uncle Nate. I said, hold on, guys. Y'all behave yourself. I'm going to go outside and take this call. I'll be right back. Answered the phone call. He was like, nephew, can you get out to LA tomorrow? You got to do an audition. I want Stevie Wonder to hear you. We need another drummer, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're going to audition a couple of guys, but I think you can get it. But I just want to get you out here so Stevie can just hear you play. I was like, yes, sir. You know, and this is a point, like, act like you belong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I try not to be like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? I'm not flipping out. I said, well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, just send me the details. I'll send you my information.
I'll see you
You know,
tomorrow.
yeah. And then, we do that. So I get off the phone with Uncle Nate. I breathe. I was like, whew, this is about to be crazy. So I go back in. I go back in the classroom. I say, yo, guys, good news and bad news. And my students can recite this better than I can. I said, good news and bad news. I said, bad news is I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Good news is I got something, I got to go to LA. I got to audition. I got to do something. They was like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? I said, I can't say. I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to mess it up. But if we land it, it'll be like great for the city. It'll be an amazing
That's
thing.
awesome, yeah.
So I do that. I fly out and do the audition. I tell my dad about it. Like we having a good time because my Stevie Wonder is one of my dad's favorite artists. And actually, me and my dad.
He's everybody's favorite artist, man.
I mean, the best. One of the best songwriters, vocalists of all time. So me and my dad had actually been to a couple of Stevie Wonder shows, as a father-son trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we've seen it, but me and my dad, like, dad has met Stevie before, like, shake hands, kiss babies, all that kind of stuff. So it was cool. He was like, my dad was like, son, you're going to get it. I promise. I know. I just feel it, I said, okay, cool. I feel it too, Papa. We got to go through the process. So played with Stevie. We had a good time. We jamming for like 10, 15 minutes and everything. So I go back in the front. I'm hanging out since the whole band is there and I'm familiar with them. I'm cool. Like the other drummers, like they left and everything. He was like, thank you, we'll get in touch with you. And I was like, I was like, can I just hang out? Since they I'm in LA, I ain't got nothing else to do. I don't want to have to leave. Can I just hang? They was like, yeah, man, you cool. So I was hanging out. It was probably like 15 minutes. I was listening to some unheard of Stevie Wonder tracks. So like he was creating stuff on the spot. So Nate Watts, he was sitting in the chair. He was like, nephew, come pull me up. Go pull me up. I was like, okay, cool, I got you. He was like, you got the gig, nephew. Send me your passport information. Send me this, send me that, all that stuff. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. He's like, I said, you got to act like you belong. Act like you belong.
I would be losing my mind.
I know, right? So I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Boom, boom, boom. So we stayed there and hung out for a minute. Stevie Wonder had so many things going on. Like so many people comes to see this man, like for different things. Like the Monster headphone people came, some cell phone people came. It was like so many people just coming to see him. It's like, hey, let me show you this. Let me, can you work this and everything? Man, it was so cool. So after that, I went back to the hotel and that's when I called my dad. It was like 3, 4 something in the morning, our time. Because, the studio stuff goes late.
Yeah,
right?
That's how they roll.
Man, I called my dad. I said, Pop, I got it. He was like, I knew it.
I knew it. Good night.
I knew it. He had a good time. He was like, son, this is going to be great, So we do the gig, man. I have an out-of-body experience, man. We played at Hyde Park in London in front of 90,000 people. And the thing about Stevie Wonder, man, it is a set show, but it's not a set show, if that makes sense. Because sometimes he just goes off and just wants to just have a jam session.
He's making music.
He's doing it on the spot. And it was a lot of times to where it was just me and him playing because he's just flowing in his thing. He's flowing in his thing. So I'm just like, I'm looking at myself play. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the crowd. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that I'm here doing this. This is me and Stevie Wonder on this stage, like in London. Like this is bananas. It's like probably one of the most liberating experiences of my life. I was like, oh man, this is very cool.
Was that your first massive gig?
I
mean, this 90,000 Stevie Wonder.
I think my massive gig happened either right before that or right after that. I don't know the timeline. But I've been working with Christina Aguilera for a long time.
Really?
The very first gig I played with Christina Aguilera was 400,000 people.
Wait, how did you get connected with that? I mean, that's the big question right now.
So again, Rob Lewis is the musical director for the Stars. I mean, from anywhere from Babyface to Patti LaBelle, New Kids on the Block, TLC.
He's the man.
He's the man. Like, and there's so many different names I can call. Right. So I met Rob Lewis, who's a very good friend of mine today, he's like a brother to me today. But I met him years ago through, again, just being in the room. So Stanley would have rehearsals with New Kids on the Block and all that stuff. I would be there in LA. I say, hey, I'm gonna stop through, just being a fly on the wall, absorbing, just sitting there,
Learning.
not saying much, laughing when it's time to laugh, chilling when it's time to chill, not getting in the way, ask them if they need anything, if I can help, because I'm just here.
Yeah.
So the opportunity came to where I had to play with New Kids on the Block. This is at Hershey Park in, Pennsylvania, I think. Hershey, Pennsylvania. That was probably like 30 to 60,000 people out there. This is a stadium. I think stadiums hold about 30,000 people. So I played that gig, right? No rehearsals, none.
You just got to learn the music. That
was like a 2.5 hour show. Just knowing the music, like I'm cutting the grass at my house, listening to the music, listening to everything. So I do the show, I kill the show, I did an amazing job, right?
Let's go.
Rob Lewis was like, okay, cool. It's plenty of work for you for the future, because if you can come in here and do this thing with no rehearsal, absorb all of this stuff, he was like, yeah, man, you are my guy. When Stanley can't do it, I'm calling you. You're right, that's what it is. And we developed this relationship over time. So the opportunity came up with the superstar Christina Aguilera. Stanley had to go out and do a thing with Stevie Wonder, because when Stevie Wonder goes, Stanley got to be there, right?
Yeah.
Again, so he was like, Pat, this is a big gig, man. Like, this is like massive. I was like, okay, cool. Man, that was one of the very few times to where like I was nervous, and I could feel my nervousness, and I had to shake it, because most of the time I was like, cool, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, this a muscle. You already developed it. You're just showing up.
But playing with that pop superstar for the first time, man, and I know like she's like that, I had to gather myself.
Yeah.
I had to gather myself. I was like, okay, I have a responsibility here, and I gotta do it, because so much. Her gig relies on the drums. Like the drum is a part of the choreography. Dancers, lights, musical cues are based off the drum fills from that gig.
And her voice, man, she's got to go with the drum. Like, that's how
thing. Like, she heavily depends on it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I don't want to mess this up, man. So I was very nervous, and Rob Lewis made sure I knew the responsibility of that seat right there. But the rest is history. I've been playing with Christina now for about 11 years. 11 years, and I still work with her.
11 years.
Yeah.
So just for the geeks out there, man, or me, like when you on tour with a superstar like this, they call you, hey, we're going to go XYZ, you got to hop on a plane, and then what happens?
Most of the time they'll be a Dropbox us the new arrangements of what we're going to do, because we don't want to do the same show in different parts of the world. So they'll give us what we're going to do. I'm listening to it on the plane. We get to rehearsal. We go through the stuff. Rehearsal can be anywhere from a 6-hour day, 8-hour day, or a 12-hour day. It just depends on what we're doing, what we're preparing for, because so many different elements, from production to dance to lighting to all that stuff, has to be coordinated.
All the screens and everything.
You know what I'm saying? Time code, all of those things, all of the magic behind the scenes has to come together in the room before we bring it out to the world. So, so we get all of that stuff, we rehearse, then we pack up, we go to wherever the gig site is, we go there, set up, have a good time, do sound check, do the show, and we normally have a party after the show just to commemorate that moment. And then we go home, man. Like that's the thing. That's
so you go from one day you're sitting out here in Memphis, driving down the street, picking up your kid, and then next day you're playing in front of 70,000 people. I don't know how many more people, and then next day you're back home.
Yeah, I consider it like a mission. Like if I'm like SEAL Team 6 or like in the military or something like that, it's like, hey, we got this mission, or like James Bond.
Let's go.
Mission Impossible. Shoot your twos to accept it. And all that stuff. So I just treat it like that. I go out there and do my specialty. I feel like I'm a specialist at the skill of musicianship, playing the drums, and just having a good time. I go out there and just do my specialty, have a good time with those people who is like a family to me. It's like a family now. A lot of these people who have worked with Christina have been with her for years. So she doesn't, luckily, which is a blessing, she doesn't change people too much.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Once you got a thing, once you got the vibe, her, the system, you kind of stick and stay, and
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. You know, it's a lot of artists that don't do that.
And she seems to be a super lowly person.
Man, she's one of the best, man. I'll tell you, I lost my mom in 2022. Actually, when I was on tour with Christina,
Oh,
she lined all of the buses up, you know, and we had like drinks out there and food and all of this stuff. She celebrated my mom in a beautiful way as I was leaving. And you want to know who the drummer who came to fill in for me was? It was Aaron Spears.
Wow.
Aaron Spears was the drummer. He was one of my good friends. God rest his soul. He was one of my best friends, and you know he chose to do this. Shout out to his wife Jessica, because Jessica had to approve.
Right.
She had to approve, because I think it was during her birthday time or something like that. So thanks, Jess, if you see this. But yeah, man, it was a lot of that. When my father passed in 23, she was the first person to send flowers to the house.
No way.
So, Chris, if anybody wants to know what kind of person Christina is, like, she's amazing. And this is her doing this stuff. This is not management.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? She got the information from management, but yeah, she did it. She sent balloons to my house one time when I wasn't feeling well. Like, she is an amazing person to work with. You know, amazing. Like, I love her family, from Max to Summer, like the whole team, Sarah, like everybody's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Sparks, everybody's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So you can't get better than that. Like what more could you ask for as a musician, as an occupation, working with, you know, a superstar, and for that superstar to be so kind and loving and amazing.
That's a load. But you're so chill, so welcoming to everybody. I've seen you interacting with so many people, and that's just a testament to who you are. Spiritually, there's something about you too, man. How do you describe that journey throughout your life spiritually? And
man, I've seen a lot go right, and I've seen a lot go wrong. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some dark days at home. You know, for my mom getting domestically abused by a guy that she chose to marry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen, you know, some horrible stuff. Like my house was robbed like 5 times when I was little.
wow.
I've seen people, get executed. I've seen people get beat up.
Wow.
And I've seen a lot of people overdose on drugs. I've seen like a lot of different things, but I've also seen some amazing things happen. I've seen, people get saved. I've seen people like, profess their love, for Christ. And I've seen people like reach their goals and reach their dreams. They in one season they weren't, and then the next season that they were. I've seen some amazing things happen. And I always say to myself, no matter what happens, everything will be okay. And some of those dark days are very dark and very long. You know what I'm saying? They say weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. But nobody really says how long the night is. Like the night can be long sometimes. But I always see the other side of the message, that joy comes in the morning.
Yeah.
So I said, well, look, the night might be the night, but I know morning is coming. So I just keep going and keep walking, and I make it to the morning time. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of time, I know as a position in life, timing is everything. I think those dark times made me appreciate the good times.
Yeah.
And those good times prepared me for, if a dark time came again, that I know that if it's dark right now, morning is coming. You know what I'm saying? So I just pay attention to rhythms of life. And it's like, okay, we be up and down. But when I'm up, I don't believe that I'm going to be down again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't be like, well, when is the next bad thing coming?
Yeah.
Because some people can have a good rhythm in life and everything is good. The car's working fine. The house is running smooth. The kids are healthy and good. We got enough money coming in and everything. And then they'll look around and be like, uh-oh, what's supposed to happen?
Yeah.
I don't live my life like that. Everything is supposed to be good all the time. And if it doesn't, it won't be bad long.
That's a good word, man.
Let
me ask you this. Memphis is, I can't compare it to anything else because I really don't know
it is very
much about Nashville. I don't know much about Atlanta. Definitely nothing about LA in the music world. I dreamt of coming to America and just make some music. And I ended up in Memphis. The musicianship here is unreal, man.
Memphis is probably one of the best places to learn how to play music. This in my own unique
Okay.
opinion. And I love cities like Chicago. Like Chicago has, in my opinion, some of the best musicians of all time. Chicago, Detroit, Philly, like all of those places, like have some of the best musicians of all time in my opinion. St. Louis, I can just keep going, 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 going. Dallas, like even. But it's something about a Memphis grit. When a Memphis musician gets on it, it becomes a thing that you can't tell that it was anything else prior to them getting on it.
Mhm.
Like once you put a Memphis musician on it, on any position,
Yep.
if drums especially, but any position, keys, guitar, bass, like singing, like there's something about this region.
Yeah.
Let's say something in the water. The water is amazing, matter of fact. But there's
Sure
something
is.
about this region that gives a different spirituality about expression. It's a really beautiful expression. And I can say a lot more about how I would like Memphis to look as far as like from a business perspective, from a galvanizing perspective, people
Yeah.
working together. I can say more about that, but individually and then collectively, when a group of Memphis musicians get together and play any style of music, church, pop, rock,
Yeah.
and it's from different styles. It ain't just black people. It ain't just white people. Like everybody who lives in this town, they have a thing, man.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a thing. And I don't know what it's from. I don't know if it's because, Memphis is tough. It's tough. It has a thing. But when you express yourself and you're from this town and you go anywhere else, like they absorb you like this. They're like, oh my God.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's a special spirit that lives here with musicianship. And I appreciate being from this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I got a good buddy of mine, David Mason. He's a drummer.
Oh,
Man,
that's my bro. That's
he
my
be
dog.
he just I learned a lot from him
Yeah.
just by what you're saying. Some like the vibe, like man, you got to know the music. What do you think are things that Memphis could do for the music scene or even for the musicians?
Well,
And that's a loaded question.
yeah.
But I almost want to. I want them to hear this.
Well, I'll say this: to do anything well, you have to be organized. You know what I'm saying? You just got to get organized. If you take one person and put it with what they say, one can chase 1,000, two can chase 10. Right? If you
Mm.
put two or three people together with like minds, without anybody wanting more than their share of the pie. Because some things that people start, it'd be like good intention,
Yeah.
but once it gets good enough to be marketable or brandable or things that's special, people, their hands get bigger in the pot. This is my thing. I came up with the idea.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
it being like a us and a we, it's mine, because every individual is trying to show their worth
Yeah.
personally, which is okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. But if you want to get organized and you really want to see some really dope change and some
Yeah.
amazing change and stuff like that, you have to play the long game. You know what I'm saying? Play the long game
Yeah.
and let it be okay for the money to come back so we can reinvest, so we can keep on
Yeah.
reinvesting
Yeah.
into making it something that is bulletproof, something that it won't fail, something that people can rely on. From a production standpoint, from a musicianship standpoint, from a business standpoint, like
Yeah.
all of those things, they have to come together. And there's a lot of people out here doing it well. A friend of mine named George Munger, he's doing it well. A friend of mine named Gabriel. I hope I'm not jacking his name up, but they're doing stuff like that well. But they are just one people. They got great
Yeah.
teams,
Yeah.
but they're just individual people. They're doing some amazing things. They're at the Grammys. They're doing some amazing things, and I appreciate them. But
Yeah.
it's gonna take more than them to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they got their own thing and it's great, but we need more people like them. We
Yeah.
need more people getting it together who made a decision, fight or flight. Like we're gonna get it done, and
Yeah.
those guys got it done.
Yeah.
George got it done, man. Proud of the work that he's doing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
proud of what he's representing. But his came off the strength of hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work and people telling him no, people slamming the door in his face. Like I know his story. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that he weathered the storm and didn't give up. And more people can learn from a person like George and be like, yo, we can do this too. You know what I'm saying? But then again, Memphis is one of those towns. It's sad to say, when one person is doing good or a team of people is doing good, there's also a team of people that tries to tear those people
crap
down.
culture.
Yeah.
We get down.
Yeah, and that's why I believe some people don't even try. That was like, I don't even want to make nothing amazing for people to mess it up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think people like you are making the city better, and hopefully we'll head that way. Don't want to say the word legacy because you're still working. But what are things that you can, even to a young musician or even a 7-year-old that may be watching this, or someone that is in their 50s, they're going to start learning how to play drums. What good advice would you have?
I really truly think that art imitates reality. I really do think that, right? So how your reality is going to be a reflection of the art that you play as a musician. My mindset is absolutely positive, even though a lot of crazy things could be going on and they were going on in my past. My outlook has always been positive, so it showed up in my musicianship. So a man thinketh, so is he. Like that's the thing. So I thought I was a world-class musician because my mom said those words. My dad deposited that stuff into my soul and everything. And it's your environment too. Like your environment will kind of shape the kind of person that you can ultimately become. You can either go left or right, no matter where you started from. You can have an amazing home like this, or you can have a shack. It just depends on the direction of your mindset. The mindset is everything. You got what, 5 kids?
Yeah.
You got 5 kids, and like 3 of them might get it right, 2 of them might get it wrong, but they were all born here. Like they all came up under you, but everything is shaped by a mindset about how they feel like their life ought to go.
Yeah.
You have to think the positive way instead of the negative way. And because of that, my legacy is on the positive thinking. Start where you are, use what you got, and do what you can. That was one of the sermons that my dad used to preach when I was younger. It's an African proverb, but he got it and he spun it and made it an amazing call and response to my life. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter if the kid is amazing like this or it's raggedy, I know I can make it sound good. Because that's my positive outlook on life as a whole. Since I know everything is gonna be okay, I'm gonna treat it like it already is. You know, so that's my stamp, man. Like I'm playing out the spirit, like mind, body, and spirit agreeing with each other because Jesus came that we may have an abundant life. I'm living in my abundance and I'm not apologizing for enjoying myself while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it's hard work. Yes, I have to be up like at 4:00 in the morning, like I was this morning, like doing things but it doesn't matter. I'm happy. Like I'm happy to be sitting here with you. I'm happy to, do what I have to do throughout my day to day. Like I'm grateful. I have my 2 children. They are amazing. I have a beautiful girlfriend. She's amazing. Like all of the things, right? My bills aren't paid. I want my house to be paid off. That's not happening yet, but I'm not sad because I can still afford to pay it. I want my truck to be paid off. Like we have aspirations, things like I want my tax debt to go away. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But my outlook is like, I'm happy, man. Like everything is cool. And happiness is a choice. Like we can choose to be happy because we can dwell on the bad things, but I'm grateful. And people see this position now. It's like, yeah, you should be. You work with Christina Aguilera. You should be, happy and stuff like that. But I was happy when I was throwing boxes at FedEx.
Let's go, man.
I really was. I really was. I didn't have what I want, but the thing about it, and probably what you see, Jay, is just this burning sensation on the inside of me that knows I'm gonna make it. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? I'm over there at FedEx. It's like, I'm throwing the boxes. I'm like, ain't no other man. I was like, I thought in my mind, I said, I know Stanley can't do all of it. I was like, I wonder if, this happened. I thought it up in mind. You know what I'm saying? And like to everything that I'm driving, where I'm living, and who I'm dating, it was a mindset thing. I was like, I'm gonna find somebody who's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who will love me for me and beyond what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's a scary thing, because once you have a little bit and a little bit of influence, some people, like, women, they try to come and take it away.
Yeah.
Or, I'm glad my kids are great kids, and they don't try to use the money straight for just personal stuff. I want a new iPad. I want new shoes every week. Like, no, they're really good kids, and I'm grateful for all of those things. But it was a mindset, though. It was a mindset. So man, thinking, so is he. So that's what I want to leave.
Man, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Man, thank you. Man, I'm so glad you came over and hung out with me today.
It was my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.